Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SA Accounting Academy. Here's a short clip on one of our previous webinars. I hope that you really do enjoy it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize for the wait. I had some technical issues on my side, but it's all sorted out now, and I'm really excited to be here with you. I'll make sure that we still finish in time. I did put together some really nice compact slides for you. So yeah, we'll get through this together. Okay, so what we're talking about today is fraud and going concern. So a little bit more about me. I'm Nestene Botha. I'm a chartered accountant and one of the top 50 under 50 women in accounting currently. I'm also the chief executive dreamer behind Explore Protech Entrepreneurial Haven, and we give the support to entrepreneurs across the globe by providing networking, training, promotion, and collaboration opportunities. If you want to hear more of me, you're welcome to follow me on YouTube or to take our personality quiz, and we will end up being pen pals. The course outline this morning, our learning objectives. So by the end of this webinar, the attendees should understand that crucial parts of the accountants and auditors' work have been affected by the current pandemic. Understand the impact of technology advancements on fraud perpetration and detection. Understand that there is an expectation gap with regard to public perceptions and the auditor's responsibilities for fraud and going concern, and know how to deal with fraud and going concern in audits of less complex entities. Should also understand the penalties for non-compliance. In terms of the table of content, we are going to look at Module 1, which will be the background to fraud and going concern in a post-corona economy. Then we'll have a look at Module 2, Fraud Technology Roundtable. Module 3, the Expectation Gap Roundtable. And Module 4, Fraud and Going Concern Procedures in Less Complex Entities Roundtable. So it's going to be an epic morning, and I'm going to try to give you as much value as possible. The quote that I picked for the day for us to start out with, so we can just get in the mood for learning as much as possible, is one from Chris Dowding, a former certified accountant and director for accountants and bookkeepers in Sage. So he says, a highly rated accountant / bookkeeper is always there for clients, regardless of unpredictable circumstances, and it is doing his or her utmost to shape shift with the moving parts of the industry. The accountant is both a sounding board and an inspiration for the client to be ambitious and take smart risks. At the end of the day, there's a trust relationship that will always exist. To what extent that trust is earned now depends upon the adaptability of the accountant. And I think that is key for today's presentation to realize, especially when we're going through all the roundtables that the IAASB just had and looking at the key takeaways from there. So there's a lot of new things going on. Some of them are scary, but ultimately there are opportunities, and I'm going to be pointing them out. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump straight into Module 1, the background to fraud and going concern in a post-corona economy. So the IAASB recently hosted 3 virtual roundtables with experts and leaders exploring issues and challenges related to fraud and going concern. These roundtables focused on 1, the impact of technology advancements on fraud perpetration and detection, and 2, the expectation gap or differences between public perceptions and the auditor's responsibilities for fraud and going concern. And lastly, fraud and going concern in audits of less complex entities. The full roundtable recordings, including individual breakout sessions, are available on the IAASB's YouTube channel, and I have put the links to all three for you right into the slides, so you can go and check that out. These roundtable discussions are basically in response to the significant questions raised regarding the role of the auditors in these areas. So, Corona and the resulting measures that were taken to deal with the pandemic and that are still being taken to deal with the pandemic has forced company processes to change virtually overnight, and control weaknesses emerged from the sudden changes. So I think if you have been struggling with maybe fraud and going concern ever since like COVID happened, maybe put it in the chat for us and we can compare notes. But it makes sense, and like certainly I've been seeing that in practice where clients are suffering, like cash flow is low, everything is suddenly changing. People have to, all of a sudden your whole workforce is working from home. Maybe you weren't used to that. And the whole control system basically has to adapt very quickly. And then on top of that, there's tons of cash flow pressure. It's basically like a recipe for disaster in terms of fraud and going concern. But I'd be keen to hear from you if that is something that you have been picking up as well. So at the same time, the economy is under enormous pressure, and the auditor and accountants have specific responsibilities in regards to both fraud and going concern. So there also is a discussion paper, and the discussion paper is available at the link that I put on the slide, so you can go and access that. And as we previously stated, there was 3 discussions held around this topic. There's also more research being done at the moment into this. So they plan to have a project proposal to completely address this by September this year. Okay, so the first roundtable discussion was held on 1 September 2020. And it was all about technology. So the things that the stakeholders spoke about was how technology facilitates the perpetration of fraud, how technology is used in financial statement audits, and how technology is used in forensic audits, and whether there are any aspects of this that may be helpful for the purpose of a financial statement audit. The participants in Roundtable 1 included forensic auditors, financial statement auditors, fraud audit methodology experts, third-party audit solution companies, regulators, academics, and public sector representatives. Roundtable 2 was a discussion around the expectations gap, and that was held on 28 September 2020. And the discussion there focused around what is expected of auditors in relation to fraud and going concern in audits of financial statements, perspectives on how the expectation gap may be narrowed in order to inform any future actions by the IAASB, and views on possible IAASB actions to address issues and challenges with regard to fraud and going concern. The participants in Roundtable 2 included investors, analysts, corporate governance experts, audit firms, academics, regulators, public sector representatives, and select others. Roundtable discussion 3 was a focus on fraud and going concern in less complex entities, and this was held on 7 October 2020. If and the discussion centered around if and how the nature of fraud perpetrated in less complex entities is different from more complex entities, including identifying risk factors that may be specific to LCEs in the context of an audit, They also spoke about what factors or characteristics are specific to less complex entities in considering an entity's ability to continue as a going concern.
I hope that you enjoyed that video. For more of our webinar videos, go to www.accountingacademy.co.za. Thank you and have a lovely day.